goodness. It's noon Eastern. It's Thursday. What's happening? LinkedIn, UnTangled with Jen Fraser from Firefly Partners. Hey, everybody. If you're out there listening, all my rabid fans, I saw a bunch of folks at NTC and they're like, oh my God, I love your show. And I'm like, do you watch me live? I'm like, wow.
Amazing. That's cool.
I see it, I see the repeats and all these things. And I'm like, great. So there is, we're making it. People are listening. So anyway, it's good to be here. It's Thursday. Jen Fraser again, CEO of Firefly Partners. We're here with another episode of UnTangled, conversations on digital and AI in the social good sector. And this week, I am joined by the lovely and talented Salpietro, Chief Growth Officer at Dataro. Sal, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Every time I see Untangled, I have a 9-year-old daughter, so I think of Rapunzel and the Tangled movie.
I know. It's okay. That's not, I'm like,
You're bringing your Rapunzel
I'm
energy.
trying to I am. I'm totally channeling. It's fine. But I know, I kind of thought, what's a good word? We were going to go with unstuck originally. And then we're like, everyone talks about like stuck and unstuck.
Right.
And we're actually like, no, it's actually a big thorny mess. And so it's actually like, let's try to, it's more, we kind of
Unspaghetti.
Unspaghetti. Yeah. Let's kind of pull some threads and let's find some areas that we can help folks find, reason and clarity in the midst of the madness. So we like to call it untangling the mess behind the mission, because everyone knows who's worked in this space for more than like a minute is that everybody can look pretty dialed a lot of times on the outside, all the big orgs, like everyone's got it all dialed. And then you like peek behind the cover and you're like, oh, damn.
Exactly.
So I just like to tell people, like, even at small orgs and, mid-size, whatever, people are like, oh, but they've got it so together. I'm like, not really. We're all,
You're not alone.
You're not alone. You're not alone in having like, there's challenges of orgs of all sizes. So it's just different types, or there's just more people involved in the craziness, honestly, in big orgs. But it's cool. We're going to help. I bring folks on like Sal. We talk about stuff, give people some solid tactics and tips to sort of help with the untangling. So
new ideas. That's right.
New ideas. So Sal, let's start with you. Telling us a little bit about you, your background, and then we'll get into what's going on with Dataro.
Yeah. So a little bit of background. Worked in higher ed early in my career, then went into like e-commerce and startup tech stuff. I was there for a while, kind of got burnt out on that and wanted to do something meaningful. And then my daughter was born and I said, what can I do that's got a bit more substance? And then became the digital director at a national nonprofit in New York, where that was my first, where you said, if you've been in it for more than a minute. I was there a minute and I went, whoa. I wasn't ready for this, right? Like I came from like high growth, rapid, innovate, do everything for 1% of growth kind of stuff.
Right.
And then I was over here. I'm like, what do you mean not possible to be mobile responsive? And this is like, it's not 1998. I mean, like this is like 2017, like still like it was still the norm. So from there, discovered Fundraise Up as a prototype early days, super early, and was one of the first nonprofits to adopt it because I was so desperate. Like the delta was like massive, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, guys, like whenever you want to start a business here, let me know. I'll help out if you want me to.
Yeah.
And did that, was there for about 6-7 years all in. Fundraise Up did its thing. It's big, working with thousands and thousands of nonprofits, but I like small, I like agile, I like building. And just in November, I joined the Dataro team where I came over to help them do similar. So that's been the journey. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love that. And then the idea of like a bunch of us, obviously either our agency or software side or whatever, obviously spent some time in the trenches. I think that helps give you the street cred of like, I've been there, I've done all the crazy.
Been there, and I try to stay connected. Like I just ended a 3-year term on a board. I just joined the advisory council of a big nonprofit. So I try to stay on that side to hear what is the thing instead of just soapboxing it all the time.
Oh my God, totally key. Yes, I'm on the board of a little baby nonprofit here that I love, and I keep being like, I need like 3 of me so I can like consult you and just give you my time for free and help you with all the things and then do my actual day job and then, be like my fun, like active social self. And 3 very distinct parts of, who I am. And it's hard to fit that all into, sadly, one. The world only needs one Jen Fraser, but it's like, it's hard to do all the things that you want to do in your life. But I like that. I also I have to stay grounded. So let's talk about our title today was what is predictive AI and why should you
Hmm.
care, you listeners out there? What's going on? I know that like we'll just set the stage. Obviously the letters AI mean a lot of different things to in a
Yep.
lot of different contexts. So I think we get a little bit lost right now with the marketing of AI is very much the generative AI tools, your ChatGPTs, your Claudes, your whatever, where I would say an undue amount of attention is being paid. But there's lots of other types of AI and
Hmm.
predictive analytics as a just a whole specialty has been around for a long time. But I'm curious, and if you can help unpack for people, just let's talk a little bit about generative AI, predictive AI. What's happening? What is predictive AI? Sort of on a nutshell. I know you tell us all the things, and why.
Yeah.
What's the real difference? What's the magic that's happening? Maybe between stuff that used to be happening, which is predictive analytics, and like, what's the difference now with the tools and the firepower that we have going on now?
Okay, let's unpack it a little bit. So, predictive AI is the oldest AI, right?
All right.
It's the unsexy AI. It's not
But it's so
visual.
sexy.
It's so not, right? When you had LLMs and generative and create an image from a prompt and all that, like that's visual, that's sexy, that's fun. I can get into this really quick. I can put three bullets and make a document. That's your generative. Because it's visual, it got a lot of prominence and a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And really, the secret workhorse has been predictive AI
Mm.
forever. I mean, you can go back to, and different AI, experts and enthusiasts will put different stakes in the ground in the timeline of when AI
Okay.
became AI, but it was the first one. And I tell my daughter it's math AI. She hates generative AI. She says, don't ever put my picture in AI. I don't want
Oh,
to be in. She's 9 years old. She doesn't want to be part of it. She's like, it's freaky. But she's like, math AI, Dad, you do that. You can do that.
that's
I'll
cool.
let you.
That's cool.
That's fine.
Might be
Right.
unsexy, but it's cool.
Right, exactly.
Chill.
And I explained to her, I say, math AI is using, numbers to understand what people will do so that we
Hmm.
can help more people. And that's how I kind of frame it for her.
Hmm.
Now, predictive analytics, it's really kind of like, hey, give me all the data. I'm going to give you a snapshot, and there we go. Right?
Yeah.
Here's what we predict's going to happen. Predictive AI is constantly running,
Right.
and it's constantly looking for patterns and correlations across hundreds, if you have rows and columns, across hundreds of columns and millions of rows,
Okay.
and always looking for what matches, what happens. Now, it doesn't know the why. I always explain, even at Fundraise Up, I would explain this because that was the first, I think, donor platform to use
Yeah.
predictive AI in the Ask Arrays. Now, I don't know why necessarily, I can infer, but why does an iPhone user give a 30% larger gift? Why is an American Express Black Card holder 6 times more likely to become a mid-level or major donor, right? Now, AI doesn't know, it doesn't care.
It's
It
just like
knows
this
that
is what I'm seeing. Yeah.
it says, this is what I see. Here's a pattern. Here's a thing. And this is what I'm going to,
Use
I
it.
predict with X confidence level
Confidence.
from
Yeah.
1 to 100 that this is an outcome for this particular donor or record,
For
right?
these
So
characteristics. Right. Yeah. And
for these
behavior.
characteristics.
Mhm.
And I just use 1 point, right? But
Right.
when you start putting in hundreds of points, you go, and they give through SMS, and their zip code is this,
Right.
and hundreds of things that you can't do on a spreadsheet. You can't
Right.
RFM your weighted, and then we'll talk about RFM, but
Yeah.
you can't RFM that.
Right.
And it's powerful. It's
It is.
powerful. And it's what all the brands you use, when we all say, why did that ad pop up? Or, how did it know? Um, it's predictive. And I was looking at, how does Netflix use predictive? Sure, in the recommendations,
Right.
right? I'm going to predict, and you watch TV at this time of day, and this is what you typically watch in the afternoon versus night, et cetera, and there's
Right.
recommendations. But they're also using predictive on churn prediction, who's likely to
Mm.
cancel. We don't do that in this sector.
That's one I saw in like the description, but you're saying like it's not just about putting a lovely gift array in front of somebody
Right.
that might be more pertinent to them or whatever based on their behaviors and all that and all those characteristics. But there's these other things. Yes, about churn, who's most likely to level up, who's most likely to do something different than just sort of your
Correct.
basic next step.
Correct.
Yeah.
And in monthly donor churn, I've talked to orgs over and I said, what are you doing for the donors that are likely to leave. They go,
Like,
well, we don't know. We don't know who they are.
you do.
You
Yeah,
can,
you
right? You
could.
can. You
Yeah.
could know who is likely to leave because Netflix does. And when they see that you're not logging in,
Yep.
they start sending you emails with what's coming soon. And I learned that they even changed the artwork on the different shows that they propose to you
Oh my gosh.
to trigger nostalgia for the time when
That
you
you
signed
did.
up.
That you used to. Oh my God, that's so funny. The time that you signed up, that's hilarious.
Right. Because, like, hey, that's what got you in. Now, let me show you similar artwork from Dawson's Creek or Babylon 5 or whatever, right?
Whatever. Right.
And that's how they do it. But we're not doing anything like that in this sector. Zero. We just go, oh, they're churning out, and I gotta acquire new monthly donors to fix the bad
Exactly.
stuff.
Then it's just like run to the beginning of the line again, and you're like, not necessarily, or not. Let's don't give
Right.
up. Don't give up just yet. Obviously, we all know we want you to keep the
You
folks
want
that
to
you
keep them.
have
If you
versus
keep them,
constantly
it's
chasing.
obviously cheaper to keep them.
Oh yeah.
And you're going to double your efforts when you're adding new ones, right? You're going to
Mhm.
grow faster. Now, how does predictive AI in this context work?
Yeah.
It's going to say, okay, at this dollar amount, and with the lack of engagement I'm seeing on email opens, and I see their credit card expiration dates probably coming up, and zip code and correlation and
All
demographics and
that.
all of
Right.
this,
Yeah.
we go, and age, right? We go, there's a 73% chance that they're gonna cancel within 60 days. And we
Hmm.
think you should just call and say thank you. Don't ask for more, nothing. Just go, hey, want to just let you know you've been a great donor. Just want to say
Thank you.
thanks. Boom. Cut your churn in 60 to 80%. Done.
That's so crazy.
But you don't know who you can't what you're gonna call all 10,000,
No.
5,000, 100? No.
No.
You need to know who. And you can't do that with an RFM. You can't do that with a filter. You need something more powerful, and we got it available today.
Awesome. I love it. I
That's it.
mean,
Does that help?
that's perfect. What sort of is there, do you have a number? Like how many characteristics are we looking at? Or is it just like whatever you bring in like the exact all that criteria? I mean, who decides what criteria? Does it how many data points is it looking at? And then is it like these data points don't matter for this organization, but they do matter here, or there's the same sort of data points across any organization? You're trying to look at the same types of characteristics.
So you've got a core set of characteristics, and then
Hmm.
you can add in custom ones that you might have for your
Okay.
organization. So if you know cat or dog lover, we'll take it, right?
Right.
But the core set is going to be 100, 200 characteristics. That's going to be all in your donor file already that you simply humanly cannot digest and leverage the way that you would need to do this.
Right. I mean, this is obviously well beyond, and nobody wants to look at spreadsheets like this and try and process data. So we're very happy to have the robots do it for us. They're so much better at it,
Absolutely.
which is good. So you touched on RFM. Let's go there. I mean, let's
Okay.
like help us understand like that's a typical and very traditional approach to sort of finding sort of your most likelies or your, the people that
Hmm.
you want to focus on. But help us like that's sort of like you go, great, and not enough, or yes,
Right.
and, or you're looking, obviously, those are very basic predictors or, very basic characteristics that you can use to maybe do some of that prediction. But I'm assuming that you still look at the recency and the frequency and the amounts and blah, blah, blah.
Also,
Right. But you're like, oh, and there are these other bazillion other characteristics that obviously you wouldn't have access to, just you random person. And even if you did, again, like you said, you're not churning through that. So you want to get past it. But like you said, the statement you put in the note back to me, which I was like, okay, good. Let's talk about the AI powered asks. When you put those in, they push the numbers forward on every single channel. So
correct.
tell me about that. Give me that. Break that
So
down.
when you're using predictive, you get a better number across direct mail, across online, in person, whatever the channel is,
Hmm.
it's going to improve either in total revenue or cost savings or efficiencies. So I didn't come up against RFM that often at Fundraise Up because that was strictly acquisition channel and net new donors, and RFM doesn't play much of a role there. But I heard about it, and then here at Dataro, it's coming up all the time because it's almost the incumbent that we come up against
Yeah.
often in conversations, right? RFM versus predictive.
Versus. Okay, tell me about what that means. Unpack that for me. Like, why is that a versus?
Because you have to replace how you're pulling lists
Mm-hmm.
from an RFM filter based method
Mm-hmm.
to simply a propensity predictive AI scoring method.
Okay.
So now you're saying, okay, instead of making my list based on they've given 2 times and this amount, recency, frequency, and within the last year, you're now saying that doesn't matter as much. What also matters is, are they opening emails and those other hundreds of points?
Right.
So RFM inherently looks backward. Now, Jen, I don't know if you like sushi or don't like sushi, and I thought about this kind of example here on the fly,
Yeah.
but like, you go to a sushi restaurant, you give it a whirl, and it's not your thing. If they were using RFM to market to you, they're going to ask you to come back.
Right.
Right. But if I know all these other things about Jen, doesn't like seafood, typically prefers XYZ cuisines, and I could put that into my algorithm, I go,
Mm-hmm.
I know she came to the restaurant, but it's not worth spending $2 to mail her a postcard. Right. So if you can rule out your low propensity from your direct mail, from your online paid ads, search, etc., you're saving a bunch of bucks,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a more personal experience. This is personalization in a different way.
In a different way.
We have one model called channel prediction, and it will tell the organization what channel that
Mm-hmm.
donor will prefer: SMS, email, letters, etc. in the mail. And then you can start just getting very lean on that. So when I say change from RFM to predictive, RFM is, here's 5 filters that look backward. Predictive is, hey, let's give a score for what you're trying to do and how likely they are to do it. Don't
Mm-hmm.
even try to unpack how it got that number. We can show you.
Right. But you're like,
You can even open it. Like, here's all the hundreds of data points and how much they contributed to that score. Boring. I just want to know. Give me my list. I want to get on with it.
count on it. Yeah.
So I put in, when I was coming up against this at first, I went into my Gemini and I said, I was trying to be very non-biased
Okay.
about anything. And I said, is RFM analysis the best marketing technique for segmenting donors or buyers? Is there a better way?
Mm-hmm.
It responds, it's classic for RFM is classic for a reason. It's simple, data-driven, and remarkably effective at behavior based on past actions. However, calling it the best in 2026 is a stretch. This is AI telling me, right? I'm like, oh, whoa, shots fired. It tells you what a donor did, but notoriously bad at explaining why they did it or when they might stop. So
All right.
there is the difference. I'm like, thank you, Gemini. RFM's great to start.
Okay.
If we want to take this whole thing and wrap it up,
Yeah.
RFM, great to start. It's foundational. But as soon as you want to get to the next level and you want to grow, it becomes ineffective very quickly. And you need to scale to something that's predictive and model based.
Predictive. I think so. If folks haven't really, I'm not going to throw anybody down under the bus there, but like when folks are even really not doing that much segmentation, or they're still doing, sort of, I would call fairly old school ways of thinking of even doing basic segmentation for next year's appeal, or whatever, the spring drive or whatever, and they're looking backward and they're thinking, I'm going to do some pretty basic segmentations, and so maybe they haven't even put like extensive, maybe RFM's in there, but they haven't gone that deep on it. Should you be like,
right,
just move into the predictive model, don't stop and spend time really trying to do a lot with an RFM framework, and just be like, let's just get straight to predictive, because we have that now, it's available. Really, it's more powerful, like you said. So if somebody hasn't really gone deep there, just be like, just come straight into predictive land. Like you're going to see better results already if you just kind of adopt this new way of thinking.
If you've got the open mind to do it and you're open for some process change, and it's not a lot of process change, and I think we'll talk a little bit about that too, of how it enters. Absolutely. And I did a post on LinkedIn, and it got like 40, 50 comments from RFM, enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Some that were, pointing out its weaknesses, but it's a very hot topic. If you want to use RFM, use it. It's just not step change for 2026, as our friend Gemini tells us.
It's okay. It's decent, but that's if you're ready to kind of push forward.
Yeah. And look, this is what I keep in my mind, and what gives me my drive every day is every entity, every for-profit entity that may directly or indirectly contribute or cause the problems we are trying to solve
Ooh,
is doing the predictive,
predictive.
is adopting next gen, is staying relevant and cutting edge.
Yeah.
So the longer we don't, the wider the gap
Oh,
gets,
which
the
is, yeah.
more work we have to do and solve as a society. And somebody was saying, well, how do you know? And I said, well, let me go find this. And I found a predictive AI tool for deforestation companies. Right
Yeah.
now, I'm involved with the Rainforest Trust and Asia. Like we're all conservation related.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, guys, that gap's getting bigger because they're cutting those trees down using AI to predict where the government's not going to appear, where the indigenous people are not going to notice for a longer amount of times,
But yeah,
all that stuff. So, like,
that's
that's the urgency part.
that's just gross and evil to me. Like I know that these things happen, and I just feel like, gosh, I just so don't understand that
Yep.
mindset of people that are driven in those ways. But obviously, there's plenty of nefarious folks who are not
Yeah.
on our page. Clearly, look at the planet right now, but
Right.
it doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so and our last little bit. So let's break it down for listeners. So what do people need to do? How does it physically work? So I'm running along. I'm in my mid, I'm a development director in a mid-level, nonprofit, and we've got our tech stack, and we're doing okay, and we're trying to get there, and we're trying to, be forward thinking. And I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
do I add this other platform? Tell me about Dataro a little bit specifically. How does it work? Or like stack, near on plays nice with an
Yep.
organization's tech stack. Break that down pretty simply for folks.
So the best AI entering your life and your work is the one that doesn't disrupt you too much or make you change the way you do things. Like I know, like the new iPhone update,
Odd.
it uses AI to just summarize your text messages, though,
Yeah.
right?
Like,
Do you like that feature? I love that feature.
that one I like. There's other I didn't love the way they changed the UI on the last one where you're like, oh
Right.
my God, everything is completely different places. That was disruptive where you're like, but then
Th-
everybody adapts and whatever.
Everyone
But
adapts. You get used to it. But the AI summary for your text messages, like lifesaver for mom texts. My mom sends me like the 3-4 page text
like,
message.
who's got time?
I literally have to like put time in my calendar. I'm like, I'll read that later, right? But the iPhone AI, it summarized it. It goes, Mom says hi, asked about next month. Like, good,
Right.
got it, right? So back to your question. Dataro and predictive model software fundraising intelligence, the way we do it, we plug into your CRM.
Okay.
We ingest all of the data,
Mm-hmm.
active donors and non,
Mm.
because we need the non-donors to know why they're
Right.
non-donors, right?
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're living in a fishbowl, and if you're not running your analysis also factoring them,
Oh yeah.
then you're seeing the world through rose-colored glasses,
For
and you're not
sure.
getting a full picture.
Yeah.
We'll take in all the data, run all the predictive modeling. We'll update that modeling on a semi-daily, weekly basis. So we're
Okay.
running new correlations and that. And then what we're doing is we're pushing a 3-character score to a hidden field on the contact record that
Okay.
would be something like likely to become mid, likely to churn, likely to make
Mm.
a first gift, likely to become monthly, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
And it'll be a number from 0 to 100,
Okay.
right? That's it.
That's
Then
it.
you go, okay, I'm doing a mid-level campaign, or my mid-level gifts officer, major gifts officer. They need to know who to call. So now instead of, okay, if they've given $1,000 or more, call them. Now it's, hey, let's go with the ones that have a 100 to a 50% chance
Mm.
based on predictive, and let's call those ones. And so on and so forth for
Yeah.
every
For your
fundraising channel.
yeah.
And why that's important, I think, not only is it going to create massive efficiencies, improve morale of the team because they're getting better results, they're having more wins because now I'm spending less time on no phone calls and I'm having better success with
Right.
yeses. But also, like, if I'm a store manager of Target or Dollar Tree or whatever, and I get a $500 bonus this year, right?
Right.
And I give that gift to a nonprofit, and it's the biggest donation I've ever given in my life, and I think it's a monument. It might as well be $5 million.
Right.
That person's going to end up likely on some major donors list
Who's
because
not?
it's going to It's going
Right.
to have the word manager. It's going to have they gave a $500 gift or mid-level donor, right? It's going to meet all the basic criteria, but prediction can say, hey, don't call that person. A lot of signs point to they're at the top of their giving
This
capacity.
is the an aberration of a gift, even maybe like, oh, this is
That's
like,
it.
yeah,
Now you call that person, you say, hey, you gave $500. Can you give 5,000? They go, are you nuts? Like that was everything I've got.
right.
Now I never want to give to you again because you're ignorant. You made me feel like
I mean, we feel that.
my gift is inadequate, right?
Yeah, right.
And predictive can rule those out. And in the inverse, it can take that $50 donor and go, hey, $50 donor just had a company sell and they're on a high-end Amex card and we see their zip code is in here. I know they gave 50 and you would normally ignore them, but give them a call.
They have a lot, the propensity that.
Exactly. And that's the efficiency. That's the morale builder. That's the burnout reducer. That's the ROI improvement. I mean, that's why it's like almost on any metric, you can see results.
Love it. Love it. So it just comes back into your system. So when you're doing your own querying,
Mm,
you have a new data point to query upon that is built
one.
in. Okay, one. Okay.
You've
One.
got one data point. You say, I need my list, and it's on this field, and it's any
Right.
score from 100, whatever
Yeah,
your
whatever your score.
tolerance is, 100 to 70. Done. Instead of literally, I posted about this today, and I talked to an organization, the BCSPCA. They said we used to spend about 2 days building a list before a campaign, and she
Right.
goes, now we're down to about an hour and a half before from when we say it and when we have our lists ready.
Right.
Well, I don't know, like that's huge in
That
efficiency
is
gains
huge. That is huge.
down the
And
line.
like what's going into it, I think is so powerful. And then it gets
Hmm.
distilled into something that's so usable and easy to understand and easy to put into your workflow just goes, that's all the hard work has already been done. All those, characteristics and all the filtering and the yada yadas that I would have had
Yeah.
to done. Like now I just go, that means this. I can just talk to these people in this way. That was great. I love that sort of breakdown because I do think it's sort of like there's a lot of just, like, oh, I hear about this and I'm not quite sure how that would fit. I don't know about another
It's
tech stack.
concrete. Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to make it more tangible and that's what I'm trying to do, because
Yeah.
it's big. I'm not great at the generative stuff and I'm building my skills in it now. Been in doing AI for nearly a decade,
Right.
but it's all been predictive and math and like not sexy stuff. So now I'm like, "Oh, you want a video?" I'm like, "I don't know how to make a video in AI." I'm learning. I'm learning now,
Oh,
but
you'll get there. It's gonna be fine.
yeah.
The sexy stuff will take over. No, but the math stuff is really cool. I am really intrigued. I've got a lot of folks right now. I think we're probably like, that sort of broke it down for me. That was really clear. I understand
Hope
it in a
so.
different way
Awesome.
now. I mean, that's the goal here. Again, we're pulling the threads, trying to make it less crazy.
Untangle it. Untangle
Untangle
it.
it, baby. This is what we're doing. It's happening. Well, good. Well, that was very helpful. I appreciate that. I appreciate your time as always. I know you're busy, busy man. So, Sal Salpietro from Dataro, how do people find you?
Salvatore at Dataro, DATARO.io. Drop me an email with questions, whatever. I'm not quota carrying, so you're not going to get a pitch.
Oh,
Let's
great.
just chat and have a conversation and answer questions. Or find me on LinkedIn and connect there. I'd love to. I'll be at AFPI Con, Build Good Summit in Canada, the DMFA Mid-Level Giving Summit. I think in 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
I'll be out there, but love to grab coffee, lunch, whatever with anybody. So.
That sounds great. I appreciate that. Everybody find Sal. He knows a lot about this stuff and can obviously spend more time breaking it down if that wasn't helpful. Lots of ways to get in touch with Sal. Thank you so much for your time. Next week on Untangled, I'm going to be joined by Dirk Sturgonagel from Digital Transformation Group, but we're going to be keeping talking about the robots. This one is he's built a bunch of agents to help, and this is an interesting thing. I don't know that's like when someone's in the middle of making a donation and they start to do cart abandonment. It's that whole like,
Cool.
hey, are you sure? Blah, blah, blah. Can I answer questions for you? Do you have other things that isn't clear? So it's about the agents helping sort of in the middle of either like event registration's a big one because there's like so many questions. You're going through the whole process and the agents can show up and obviously, made a very detailed, very specific use case for it. But these agents are helping people get through either a donation, event process, or things like that to help organizations improve their fundraising. So I'm excited to hear what he's built already. So that's next Thursday at noon on Untangled. In the meantime, everybody have a great day. And Sal, thank you again for being here.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Jen.
Have a
See
good
ya.
one, everyone.